Hey guys, this is Heretic, and this is part 2 of the Battle Mechanics series. In this video, we'll focus on the defensive side of the battle. Specifically, we're going to look at the defense, HP or health, total health, which is different, and we're also going to look at damage reduction and how it's actually applied in a battle. But before we get started, did you know that I have a Discord where you can ask questions and discuss the game with other players? Look in the description of this video for an invite. Also, do me a big favor and please comment on this video and let me know where you're watching from. Commenting on my videos helps so much with the algorithm. For this video, I will focus on infantry and cavalry. Because I'm Cav, I'm showing mostly that, but whatever I talk about here applies exactly the same for infantry. So first I want to discuss defense. So I'll just scroll down here and you can see my defense. For whatever it's worth, my defense is 137.7. So defense is the least necessary statistic when you look at your castle. It's a damage reduction, but it's not applied directly. So let's say I have 137.7% defense. That doesn't mean that it's actually reducing the damage by 137. It's actually much, much less. It's so much so that defense is one of the very worst stats in the game. Also, it has a nerf. So once you reach 155%, it's really not even worth getting even one more point over that. And you'll get to that eventually just with your gear and your lord skills. I haven't applied anything. I haven't, especially don't use like your gear enhancements to get defense. It's complete waste. All right, so with that out of the way, let's focus on HP or health points. Right? Health is the ability to absorb attacks from your enemies before your troop dies. The higher your health, the less troops die, as it will take the enemy longer to actually kill them. So let's compute my total health so that you can kind of follow the logic and the math here, because it'll be the same for you using numbers that match up. So let's look at my base. So my base over here, if I can click it right, if I go to recruit on barracks and I look, I'm at tier 13. If I go over here to Cav, 2,700, that's a number that we need to remember. So now if I go over to my battle report and I scroll down to the percentages here, and so you see Cav HP, my percentage is 620.3. So health for both your infantry and your Cav actually has a soft cap at 285%. So everything over 285%, that difference is only applied at 0.3. So although it says 620.3, you actually have to take that, subtract it by 285, which is 335.3, and then take that number that's over the 285 and multiply it by 0.3. which is 100.59. So when you add those together, my real percentage that it should really show here is just 385.59. I know it's weird, but this is just how it kind of works under the covers. And these soft caps are interesting, and they happen in every single game. For example, the way that the soft cap works. If you have, since that soft cap is 285, let's say you're infantry player, right? And you have 275%. And then you get something, within the game, a buff or whatever it is that gives you 10%, that will get you to your 285% for that battle. And that's what you get. But if you're at 285 and you get that same 10% buff, that buff's only going to count as 3. So you'll only go up to 288. So you can see those soft caps really end up in the long run hurting you in a way, because it should teach you to not focus so much on your health, your HP, and your attack, the attack works the same way. We talked about that in the first video. And focus more on damage reduction on the defensive side. So let's go back to my example. I have here, you can see 620.3, and then I subtract the 285, and so that gives me 335.3. I take that 335.3 and I multiply that by 0.3, which gives me 100.59. I add the 100.59 to the 285, the cap. That gets me to 385.59. Now I take that 2,700 that we saw over here, this 2,700, and we multiply it by 3.8559. So what I do is I take that 335 is a percentage, right? So it's 3 times more. So it's a 2,700 times the 3 times more, 0.8559, almost 4, right? So that gives me a total health score of 10,410.93. So that means to kill one of my troops, the enemy's going to have to do 10,410.93 damage to it. So if the enemy has a total damage output of 4,000, then that, whatever, let's say it's a mage, would take 3 rounds in a battle before they're actually able to kill that one cav. So keep that in mind. So the whole idea with your front line is to keep your enemy from getting past it, and to give your back line, because they're the ones that do the most damage, to give them enough time to kill the enemy's front line. So that's all you're fighting for in those battles, is who can eliminate the other's front line the fastest. That's 9 out of 10 battles are going to be like that. Okay, now I'm going to do an attack here in the ruins. I'm just going to pick someone and I'm going to attack. So here I'm going to do a plunder, and it doesn't matter what I do, just go. It doesn't matter if I win, we're just testing. Here I can just finish it quick, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at the battle report. Okay, and in the battle report I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to get to my cav HP 620.3. so that's important to remember. That is super important to remember here. Okay, and I think that's probably the only thing that it could be. Let's take a look at damage taken reduced, 31.6, and cav damage taken reduction, 35.5. Okay, so now I'm going to go over to Mystic College, and this is the first time I've ever done this in the game, so this is all new for me as we go through. So I am going to go, I want to make sure I don't forget anything else, but I'm going to go here to Fortify, and within here I've been able to build up to this skill, which is Elite Cavalry, and in here I will get my base HP raised by 20 each time I do this. I'm going to try to do it twice. So I am going to go ahead and do this. Okay. 57. I'm going to do it. And now I'm going to go ahead and do it one more time. And I'm going to go, yeah. And that's all it's going to let me do before I raise up my Mystic College one more time. And it goes up to 12,000. So now I've gone up by 40. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over here, take a look where we, just follow the same thing that we did before. My base HP did not update for my cav. It's still 2,700. And if I go and I do the exact same attack, same people, right, plunder, yep, go ahead and plunder, same exact thing, finish it up. Now let's take a look at the battle report. So now, Cav HP 620 and Cav damage taken reduction 35.5. So I have 620, and I am gonna guess it is not changed. Yep, exactly the same. So here's another one of those cases where you do something and it actually costs a lot. Like it's a lot of Azurite to do what I did. And to not see it reflected in the game, to have it be something that's hidden, is pretty difficult here. I only know how much it affects if I do calculations. And then I look at multiple tests to see what did it, I mean, I'm not going to be able to do it now, at least this round, but what did it actually do in a battle? Like, if I do 10 attacks using, just my cav, what is the average versus 10 attacks after? And I can't do that now because I would have expected it to be displayed within the game, but it's not. So keep this in mind whenever you go through your Mystic and you're looking at different skills, that these skills, the Elite Cav, where I went up by 40 base, and it would be the same if you're in Mages and you look at Elite Mages here, and I believe Archers have the same thing, yeah, the base attack, that it's not going to be displayed. I'm going to go do this one later for Mages, but it won't be, I'm guessing, it will not be displayed anywhere within the battle report on the page showing the base stats. But now, it actually will be here because it should be displayed as, let's see, go down here. And if I get to here, Elite Cav 2. So it shows here, but it's not, it's a calculation that you're going to have to do to see how that affects. And again, now let's go ahead and calculate what my total HP is now. So my total HP, when we do a comparison, it's pretty interesting. So now I would take the 2,700 as my base HP, and I would add 40 to that, so it would be 2,740. I would multiply that by the 3.8559, which is the 385.59 percentage increase on my health that we calculated earlier. And so that would give me a total of 10,565.166. So if I subtract that by the 10,410.93 that I had before I made the change, that would get me about 154.236, which would be about a 1.5% increase in my total health score. Is it worth it? I don't know. I think what happens is you're going to get to a point where these things will matter, especially when you get up to 100, because that would get me, it would get me over 3-4% more. And so when you get to a certain point and you're raising all of your tech super high, you'll get diminishing returns on the amount that you're actually spending to get those gains. But people still do it because it's one super spender against another super spender, and every little bit of a difference matters. But when you're comparing it to people below them, the difference isn't that great. It's going to come down to more your formations and other things that you're doing, other skills that you have that the other person might have. Maybe your artifact skill or something like that would be the difference there, not this like 0.1% difference. All right, let's continue. All right, so let's move to damage reduction. So we talked about the damage modifiers on offense, as an attacker, but on defense. So this is where it'll all kind of come together. And I'm going to go back and we'll take a look at, we'll stick here within this battle report just for reference. And I can go down and you can start adding up all your different ways of reduction. So let's go down. I have damage taken reduced when attacking, 31%, and I'm not going to worry about the defending for right now. I have cav damage taken reduction, another 35.5. Cav take less damage, let's say from mages, that's another 5.4%, etc., etc. So you have a lot of things that are working for you to get your damage reduction. So the way that it works is damage reduction reduces the percentage of damage increase that the enemy has. That's the first thing it does. So if the enemy, so that the attacker has 100% damage increase and you have 100% damage reduction, they would balance things out and there would be no damage increase over their base damage that they get on their castle and the barracks. And then you add on their attack percentage, it would eliminate whatever they have above that's in the damage. If they have damage versus cav plus, or if they have damage while attacking plus, it would eliminate those. So that type of addition or multiplication of their actual attack would go away, right? That's your goal, is to at least at a minimum have the same amount of reduction as they do to the plus on their damage. So what if you have more? So you're lucky at that point, right? So when you have more damage reduction than the enemy has damage added, what you see is a reduction in the total damage. So beyond just that percentage increase that they have with their damage add, which is a multiplication, right? So let's say if the enemy has 100 damage added on their attack and you have 110 damage reduction, you would have a plus of 10 damage reduction to the overall damage, which is really nice, but it's not quite 10. You would think it's 10, but there is a little bit of a nerf happening here. Refer to this chart on the screen to see on the reduction of damage above your enemy's add, the actual percentage that you would have applied against it. So let's say if the enemy has an attack damage percentage add of 100 and you have 200% damage reduction, you would eliminate their damage added, right? And then you would still have 100 over. With that 100 over, you would actually split their damage in half. So let's say they had 1,000 total damage score, then you would reduce it to 500 damage score. And so if we go back to the health, where we were saying that, I have 10,410 health, total health. And if we reduce that, I have to go look real quick and see what that point was. Yeah, if I have that 10,410 total health score, and the enemy, I have 100 more damage reduction than the enemy has damage add, then it would take them twice as long to defeat my troops as that 3 times. It would take them 6 times, about 6 times, for them to actually kill that one troop instead of 3. And that's where it gets really, really interesting. So that brings us to the end of the second video in the Battle Mechanics series. In the next video, we're going to go over team fights. So if you're in Elite Wars, you're in Fortress Wars, you're in a combined attack, like a timed attack, you're at a speed attack, you have troops on a tower and you're getting attacked, realm invasion, etc., etc., etc. It's whenever you have a group of players and your enemy has a group of players, or either one, and how do the mechanics work then? Right, so that's what we'll be talking about in the next video. So with that, take care.